Atlanta woke up that day to one of the most shocking crimes in recent memory. On April 11, 2023, the quiet morning at City Park Apartments on Fairburn Road, Atlanta, was shattered by a chilling scene. Just steps from her own front door, 37-year-old hairstylist Ashley Burton lay dying, her body riddled with bullets. Neighbors later recalled the sound of her desperate knocking as she begged for help, only to collapse in the hallway. Minutes earlier, an argument had exploded inside her apartment. Her boyfriend had found something he didn't like, and rage quickly turned to violence. He opened fire indoors, then chased Ashley outside, continuing to shoot as she pleaded for her life. After the final shots, he fled without looking back. It was a brutal and fearless act that left an entire community stunned. For many in Atlanta, already uneasy about the city's rising violence, this murder felt like another dark turning point. This is the story of Ashley Burton's life, and the tragedy that cut it short. Atlanta, Georgia, is a city of contrasts. It's a cultural powerhouse of the South, celebrated for its music, business opportunities, and reputation as one of the most welcoming places for LGBTQ communities. The city has passed anti-discrimination laws and even created an LGBTQ advisory board to strengthen marginalized voices. But behind those progressive steps lies a harsher reality. Violent crime in Atlanta has surged. Homicides have nearly doubled in the last 10 years, placing the city far above the national average. For Ashley, who had moved there with hopes of finding safety and acceptance, Atlanta offered both opportunity and danger. Ashley was born and raised in South Carolina. From the beginning, she was described as caring, ambitious, and determined to carve out her own future. After losing parts of her support system back home, she took a leap of faith and relocated to Atlanta. She saw it as a place where she could build her career as a hairstylist and live openly as a transgender woman. Friends remembered her as the type of person who could light up a room. She carried an energy that drew people in, paired with a creative drive that fueled her career. Ashley believed Atlanta would be her safe space. Tragically, it wasn't. Ashley built a career as a hairstylist and makeup artist, proud of her craft and eager to share it. Social media became her stage. She showcased her talent, but also her life, her struggles, and her journey as a transgender woman living unapologetically. She openly documented her transformation, even posting about her medical procedures. In one video, she laughed off the warnings doctors gave about risks, telling her followers, "Baby, don't let that scare you. Don't let it in your head. Just get me in there and get it done. 'Cause I don't want to hear all that." Her message was clear. Don't let fear stop you from chasing your goals. Friends knew Ashley as a fighter. She embraced the pain, believing her motto, "Beauty is pain, but living authentically is worth it." In Atlanta, her circle of support grew. She surrounded herself with people who lifted her up, respected her hustle, and celebrated her identity. At gatherings, she was the one laughing the loudest, the one dancing without hesitation. Videos show her full of joy, soaking in the freedom she had fought to claim. On the surface, Atlanta had given her the life she wanted. But danger was much closer than she realized. As her career rose, Ashley crossed paths with 31-year-old Darius Mills. How they first met remains unclear. Even the nature of their relationship is still a mystery. What is certain is that he became part of her life quietly, unnoticed, until tragedy exposed his presence. Ashley's family later admitted they had never even heard his name before her death. That revelation deepened the mystery. How had someone so unknown to them gotten so close? Darius stayed in the background, yet his access to Ashley was already dangerous. To her, he may have seemed like just another ordinary man. In reality, he was anything but. Behind that impression was a darker truth. Ashley had unknowingly let a dangerous man into her life. Darius Mills was no stranger to crime. In 2010, he was convicted of armed robbery, a charge that revealed more than a momentary lapse in judgment. It showed a willingness to embrace violence and disregard the law. His record wasn't clean, and it wasn't a one-time mistake. It was a pattern proof of a man capable of sudden, reckless harm. Ashley never knew the full weight of his past. To her, the danger was hidden, But looking back, his history made it clear. Letting Darius into her world meant stepping into the orbit of someone already proven dangerous. On the night of April 10, 2023, Ashley unknowingly lived the final hours of her life. She had invited Darius into her apartment at the City Park complex in Atlanta. To an outsider, it might have seemed like an ordinary evening. The details of why he was there, or what their true relationship was, remain unanswered. Inside her own home, Ashley moved with the ease of routine, never suspecting her safety would be shattered. Yet, as the night deepened into the early morning of April 11th, tension filled the air. Something was brewing, something about to go wrong. An argument erupted between Ashley and Darius. Reports suggest he found something inside her apartment. What it was, no one knows for certain. But whatever he discovered, it was enough to ignite his fury. Instead of leaving, Darius pulled out a gun. Gunfire erupted inside Ashley's apartment. She was hit but managed to escape, running into the breezeway in a desperate attempt to survive. With blood and fear driving her forward, she pounded on neighbors' doors, screaming for help. People inside heard the chaos, the frantic knocking, the terror in her voice. But fear froze them. No one opened their door. That hesitation, that single mistake, would prove fatal. Neighbors hesitated. That pause, that moment of fear was all it took. Before anyone could act, Darius had already closed in on Ashley. Gunfire erupted in the breezeway, each shot echoing through the City Park complex before silence swallowed the air. Ashley collapsed only steps from safety. Betrayed by someone she had once trusted, her fight for life ended in the hallway of her own home. News broke quickly. Local station 11 Alive reported from the scene early that morning, alerting viewers that a shooting had taken place at the City Park apartments on Fairburn Road. By the time police arrived at 4:30 a.m., the tragedy was undeniable. Officers found Ashley's body lying in the breezeway, riddled with multiple gunshot wounds. Paramedics could only confirm what neighbors already feared. Ashley was gone. Meanwhile, Darius had already vanished into the night. He slipped away with chilling ease, leaving behind chaos, fear, and questions that demanded answers. The community was stunned. Friends and family couldn't understand how Ashley, someone known for avoiding conflict, for uplifting those around her, could be taken in such a violent way. Her cousin, Ivory Carter, spoke through grief, sharing what many felt. Why her? Why would it be somebody who's trying to better herself? Somebody who's trying to do right by people? Who's trying to help? Ashley had moved to Atlanta with hopes of building a brighter future. She wanted safety. She wanted acceptance. She wanted to live freely. Instead, her dreams ended in the most brutal way imaginable. Ashley was well known for her work as a hair and makeup artist. It was her passion, her livelihood, and her reputation in the community. But on that night, the image of Ashley wasn't of her smiling behind a chair, but of her screaming, running for her life. She pounded on doors, begging for help, while her killer chased her. Her cousin Ivory struggled to understand the brutality. "This has to be personal," she said. "You shoot her in her own home, then you follow her outside?" She didn't put herself in that type of environment. "That's why I'm clueless." She was always positive, always around good people. The sheer cruelty of the attack made it clear this wasn't random. It was intentional. It was personal. The community was left shaken. Neighbors who spoke with reporters described Ashley as sweet, outgoing, and full of life. They were stunned, unable to comprehend why anyone would want to hurt her. As investigators dug into the case, they uncovered a chilling detail. Ashley's phones were missing. They hadn't been lost in the chaos. They had been stolen. Detectives believed it was a calculated move by the killer, meant to erase evidence and delay the investigation. But even with those attempts, the trail still pointed in one direction. All signs led back to the last person seen with her, 31-year-old Darius Mills. The investigation was gaining momentum, and when police finally closed in, Mills was already behind bars for another crime. That connection made it easier to tie him directly to Ashley's murder. He was charged with a long list of offenses: murder, armed robbery, possession of a firearm by a convicted felon, and possession of a firearm during the commission of a felony. The pieces of the puzzle were coming together, and the truth of Ashley's final night was finally being laid bare. The arrest of Darius Mills marked a turning point in the case. For weeks, Ashley Burton's community lived in fear, wondering if her killer was still free and capable of striking again. When investigators confirmed the man responsible was already in custody, the shock only grew deeper. This wasn't a faceless predator hiding in the shadows. This was someone Ashley had trusted enough to let into her home. In late May, the truth came into focus. On May 27th, East Point police arrested Mills on charges of aggravated assault, armed robbery, and hijacking a motor vehicle. At first, it looked like yet another crime in his violent trail. But soon, investigators connected the dots. That arrest wasn't separate, tied directly back to Ashley's murder. From that moment, the investigation shifted. What began as a desperate search for answers now had a suspect, a man whose violent past could no longer be ignored. Detectives dug deeper into Mills's history. His 2010 armed robbery conviction was only one chapter. His record painted the picture of someone who had lived recklessly, showing no regard for the law or for human life. When the community learned the extent of his past, shock gave way to anger. How could a man like this slip so easily into Ashley's life without raising alarm? For her family, the realization was devastating. They had never even heard of him before the murder. To them, he seemed to appear out of nowhere, wrapped in secrecy, only to bring destruction. As investigators pieced together the timeline, the final hours of Ashley's life became clearer. An argument inside her apartment, a gun drawn in anger, a desperate run for safety that ended in tragedy. What still remains unanswered is motive. What did Mills find inside Ashley's apartment that fueled his rage? Police have suggested it may have been something personal, but even today, the exact trigger is unknown. The lack of clear answers made Ashley's case even more haunting. While investigators worked to piece together what happened, her family was left to carry an unbearable loss. Her cousin Ivory told reporters Ashley never sought trouble. She wanted only to grow, to build her life, and to help others. The sheer cruelty of her death, shot inside her own home, then hunted down as she begged for help, left wounds her loved ones may never heal. Atlanta police confirmed they were examining the case for possible hate crime charges. Ashley was a proud transgender woman who lived openly, never hiding who she was. Whether her identity played a role in her murder or not, the outcome was the same. Her life was stolen. The tragedy sent shockwaves through Atlanta's LGBTQ community. For many, Ashley's killing wasn't only personal grief. It was a stark reminder of the dangers transgender women, especially women of color, still face. That she moved to Atlanta seeking safety, only to lose her life there, made it all the more devastating. Even in their pain, Ashley's family displayed remarkable strength. In interviews, her mother Emma and her brother Patrick shared their heartbreak. They described Ashley as outgoing, trend-setting, and respected for her hustle. Her mother recalled the moment police came to deliver the news, saying she collapsed in shock. Yet Emma also revealed something unexpected. She forgave Darius Mills the moment she learned what he had done. A woman of deep faith, she explained that she could not allow hatred to consume her. Forgiveness, however, did not replace justice. Mills still faced the full weight of the law, with prosecutors preparing to pursue every charge aggressively. But the family's response served as a reminder that Ashley's life was not defined by violence. Her legacy rests instead in her resilience, her kindness, and her love for others. For 37 years, she lived as herself, unapologetically and authentically. That is how her family, friends, and community remember her. Not for the cruelty of her final moments, but for the light she carried through her life. Ashley was laid to rest at Sunset Gardens Memorial Cemetery in Johnston, South Carolina. The day before, a public viewing was held at Butler & Sons Funeral Home in Saluda. For those who knew her, Ashley's story was more than a headline. Her family and friends kept her memory alive by speaking about her courage, her laughter, and the way she lived without apology. To them, she wasn't just another victim. She was a symbol of strength, resilience, and authenticity. But one painful truth remained. No sentence, no verdict, could ever bring her back. Justice could hold Darius Mills accountable, but it could not erase the hole left behind. For the community, Ashley's death was both a warning and a reminder of how fragile life can be in the face of violence. As the trial approached, there was a heavy silence. Questions still hung in the air. What really pushed Mills to pull the trigger that night? Would the courtroom finally reveal the truth? What do you think could have been done to prevent this tragedy? And what are your thoughts on Ashley's case? Let me know in the comments below. And if you want to hear more stories like this, don't forget to like and subscribe.